Chapter 25. Walking into the glorious atrium, streaming with warm sunlight, I glimpsed April, looking worse than shit. She hid her drawn face behind big black shades, sitting stiffly in her seat as she read the morning paper. What a hot mess. "Morning, April," I smiled, giving her my best sympathetic face. Oh, Bonnie," she moaned. "I'm never drinking again." "Can I pour you some tea?" I offered, taking my place beside her. "Thank you," she muttered sickly. "That would be lovely." She had hardly touched the scrumptious breakfast Dave had laid across the table. What a waste. "Try a bit of dry toast," I suggested. I can't." She shunned repulsively with pursed lips, throwing a hand in front of her mouth. "Marcus is angry with me that I got so drunk." Who could blame him? "Honey, you look like ass." "That's too bad." I snickered under my breath, watching her carefully shift her weight. "Must have been some party." She glanced up at me. "It was," she said, squeezing a tiny smile through her dry lips. "But I don't even remember getting home. And then I woke up this morning with vomit in my hair. Marcus ended up in one of the other bedrooms." "Oh no," I gasped, trying to restrain the amusement crawling over my face. "Poor Marcus." "Yeah," she sighed. "He's not so pleased right now." "Well, I can assure you that he was last night." Just observing April, I could now understand why Marcus would look elsewhere. Good looks can only take one so far. I felt sorry for him. My brain was running in overdrive. I had to change the subject. "This rose tea smells divine," I remarked, pouring us both a cup. I gently sat hers on a saucer, and she managed to take a few sips. "That feels better," she swallowed, nursing those big Jackie O rims on her nose. I mean, the drama of it all. "So, what are you up to today, Bon?" "Dreaming about your husband, honey." "Well, I thought I would stop in Lazy Acres and get some food, and then grab some sun down at Arroyo Burro." "Oh, I could do with some sun on the beach," she said, suddenly shifting in her seat uncomfortably. And April tersely sat up, jerking her head back, and quickly held her hand to her mouth. "Excuse me, Bonnie." Oh no, bitch is going to hurl again. She hurriedly stood to her feet, dashing to the nearest door, and projectile vomited into the flower bed, losing her beloved Jackie O shades within it. Oh, she is feeling it right now. I saw Lola cringing from inside the kitchen, watching in disgust, absolutely appalled. I couldn't blame her. She was the poor woman who had to clean it up all morning. An image of when I first met April sprang to mind. I remembered her flawless figure gliding down the stairs, looking all prim and proper. What a facade. After momentarily fertilizing the garden, she dragged her sorry self back inside, sniffing and wiping her mouth on a napkin. "Oh, I'm so sorry, honey," she sputtered, her hands shaking as she stood at the table, minus the glasses. "Oh, I have to excuse myself and lie down." "Oh, let me help you," I offered, holding her arms and nursing her up the stairs. I immediately regretted it. "Oh, God, you smell vile." After tucking her into her messy bed, I glanced at her pretty black Lavon frock, now carelessly crunched up in a plastic sleeve. How insulting. Off to the dry cleaners with throw up on it. Such class. Shutting her bedroom door, I walked back down into the atrium and sat there, enjoying my own company for a change, kicking my legs up on the chair. Suddenly, I glimpsed a white Range Rover crunching up over the gravel with 2 teenagers in the back. Oh no, Oksana. I sipped my rose tea and pulled my feet away from the chair. Trust Oksana to come and spoil my peace. Minutes later, in bounced 2 crazy teenagers talking about World of Warcraft. Their obsession with this computer game was now on a whole new level. Eventually, in thumped Oksana, dripping in her S-grade diamonds, with her white blonde hair tied back and that body fitted within suffocatingly tight black alligator pants and a matching tank top. Well, I guess she was expecting to see Marcus this morning. Bad luck. I had to really force a smile through my clenched jaw. What a whore. Oh, hi, Bunny. She greeted me, looking surprised that I was sitting in the atrium, all on my lonesome. Where is Marcos? And April? Noticed she said Marcus's name first. Hi, Oksana, I said, giving her my sweetest smile, admiring her fake boobs pressed up against her chin. Marcus has flown out this morning, and April's up in bed with a hangover. Hangover? She gasped, batting her fake eyelashes at me. Well, she was quite drunk last night. Can't believe this woman has given me more than a minute of her time. Thank you for dropping Henry home, I spoke, sipping my tea. Oh, no problem, she replied, flashing me that obscene diamond on her ring finger. They were still up when Fred and I got home from the party. That's World of Warcraft for you. Oh, tell me about it. She glanced out through the window and then quickly checked her iPhone. So I'll just go up and see April on my way out. Bitch, please. No, I think it's better you leave her to rest, I answered politely but firmly. She's in no state to see people. Like, who does that? Bitch, with all that money, I'd half expect you to have bought some etiquette. Suddenly, a cold change filled the air. Well, okay, Bonnie, she sneered, raising her eyebrows at me, looking less than impressed that the help had given her orders. I'll be off then. Walk out that door, whore. Thank you again, I called out politely, watching her thump her ass out, stepping down the front entrance of the house and swiftly climbing into her big white Range. Chapter 26. Finally on my own again. I quickly ate some melon and mango, drank the rest of my delicious tea, and went back to my quarters, eager to pull that gold iPhone out from my pillow. I switched it on, taking a deep breath. Marcos. I dialed the number and listened to it connect. Then it rang. My heart began crawling up the walls of my chest. 1 ring, 2 rings, 3 rings. Good morning, Bonet. That deeply sensual voice spoke on the other end. I melted. Marcos. It sounded like he was on a plane. Good morning, Marcos, I purred. Not even a gale force wind could wipe the grin from my face. And how are you this morning? I'm fine, I replied, lying on my stomach on the bed. I don't think April is, though. She just vomited in the garden outside the atrium. Oh, silence. Long, awkward silence. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. What are you doing today? He finally asked me, dismissing my last comment. I'm going to Lazy Acres to grab some food. Then I thought I would go and lay on the beach. There was a short pause. Sounds nice, he answered quietly. He really wasn't very talkative on the phone. What about you? I wondered. You left so early. I'm having a lunch meeting with senior management in San Jose, he answered. I'll be home tonight. My heart fluttered. I'll be waiting, I murmured suggestively. I already am, he replied quietly, his voice soft as silk. There was a long silence as we both refreshed our memories. Marcus's tongue running up the side of my neck, rubbing my slipping thighs. Damn. I sighed, closing my eyes, and dropped my head down onto the bed. Can you cook for me tonight? He asked, breaking our decadent silence. Are you kidding, honey? Just you? I questioned, thinking it was some kind of joke. Yeah. I sensed his amusement. How? I asked, mystified, knowing full well that Dave would be commanding the kitchen space. Not to mention April's sorry ass lurking around the house. Well, you have a kitchen in your quarters. I thought for a moment. I do. So cook something for me, he said frankly. Okay, I chuckled gently. This man is a bag of tricks. So, it's dinner for the two of us. And put the food on the account at Lazy Acres. And anything else you want. Thank you, I smiled. My pleasure, he said softly. I'll see you this evening. My body shuddered at the thought. Yes, Marcus, I replied quietly, glancing at my beige blankets. Goodbye, Bonnet. A smile melted through my lips. Goodbye, Marcus. The phone went dead. I stared at its black screen, wondering how the hell any of this was going to be pulled off. Dinner? Just the two of us? I decided I had to put my full faith into Marcus. I grabbed my oil burner and lit the candle, watching as the post-it note burned to ashes. Chapter 27. I finally rolled off the bed and decided I would wear something nice today. I felt good, really good. It's amazing what a kiss from a delicious Colombian man can do to a woman. And on top of that, I could now afford nice clothes. I was certain April wouldn't see me today, so I knew I could glam it up. I barely wore any makeup around her because she acted funny. Like the woman got jealous or something. I tried it once before and it was quickly obvious to me that she didn't like it. And hey, I'm also not afraid to say that I was now looking flossy. No more frumpy-ass Bonnie. My strict eating regime was finally delivering the goods. I slipped into a pair of faded skinny jeans, a taupe transparent muumuu blouse, and my favorite pair of small Tahitian pearl earrings. I put my face on, curled my long black hair, and dabbed some lang lang onto my wrists. Shutting the door and walking out my quarters, I smiled as the sun hit my face and climbed into my sleek black G-Class and slowly rolled down the drive. Life was fucking good. Hey, Harry, I hollered happily. Oh, hey there, Bonnie, Harry shouted, his hefty self giving me a big smile with a wild hand wave. How's things? I rolled up my window and zoomed down the mountain toward the 101. Lazy Acres was always a crazy mid-morning place to be on a weekend, and I loved nothing more than to stroll amongst the craziness, grazing around the fruit section and leisurely taking my time going down each aisle. I wandered around the deli section and quickly spotted my favorite Jessica Foster truffles. Moorish. No diet today. I shoved a couple of boxes in my basket, along with some kombucha, and picked out some mottled greens for tonight's imminent dinner with Marcos. I then waltzed over to see my boys in the butcher's section. "You're looking scrumptious today, Bonnie girl," Steve flirted, sharpening his knife along the steel. "Hope you know how to handle that big knife, Steve," I grinned. "And you're looking okay for a Sunday morning, too." "Just okay?" he cried, his shocked little mouth hidden by a thick salt and pepper mustache. "Yeah," I nodded, pulling a straight face. I finally burst out laughing. "Can you give me 2 of your best ribeye steaks, please? And can I pick them up in a few hours?" "You're pushing your luck now, Bonnie," he answered, waving a finger at me. "Excuse me," a very posh female voice interrupted us from behind. Caught totally off guard, I turned around, being greeted by an outrageously fabulous red-headed woman, glaring at me with these sparkling cerulean eyes. I stood there stunned, admiring her lips stained in crimson and her flawless fingernails to match. I was immediately taken aback. "Are you by any chance Australian?" she asked very matter-of-factly, hinting slight amusement within her own very obvious Australian accent. I still didn't know what to make of this woman and found her candid manner quite funny. Well, I was born in Australia, and I grew up there some of the time," I replied politely, somewhat baffled by what was playing out. I see," she analyzed, raising a perfectly arched eyebrow, not once deviating her sharp eye contact from my face. "So, I take it you must be from Australia also?" I questioned, reciprocating the sarcasm. "I jolly well am," she laughed with glorious vibrato. From her laugh alone, I knew that she was a woman who enjoyed life. She thrust her hand into mine and gave me a cordial handshake. "My name is Dale." "I'm Bonnie," I smiled, squeezing her hand softly. "The pleasure is mine, Bonnie." Dale was a woman about town. We're talking proper class and old world glamour here. Her beauty was classic, reminding me of someone like Elizabeth Taylor. Quite simply put, there was just a genuinely disarming presence about her. I guess she was probably in her early 60s. And so after being swept up in Dale's company in front of the boys in the butcher's for about 10 minutes, we eventually exchanged numbers and decided to meet for coffee in the next few days. And I look forward to getting to know Dale some more. I really hadn't made any new friends since my coming to Montecito, except for the odd chat, here and there, with the moms picking up their kids at Laguna Blanca. Chapter 28. After putting the groceries onto the Almeida account and leaving them behind for later pickup, I left Lazy Acres with my chocolate truffles and kombucha and drove down to Arroyo Barra. I lay on that hard sand for hours. The warm sun burned against my skin while I lazily watched the world pass me by, thoroughly enjoying the calm sounds of the lapping waves, happy dogs playing, and seagulls floating through the crisp blue skies. It was exactly what I needed, especially after last night. Lying on that beach, all I could think about was Marcos and last night, over and over and over again. It was never ending. Life was a dream right now. Later, after acquiring some fine tan lines, I drove downtown to get my nails done, bought some lipsticks at Sephora, and then gradually made my way back to Lazy Acres to pick up the groceries. "Oh, Bonnie!" I heard a loud voice holler from the parking lot. I peered in the distance and saw the very lovely and overtly friendly real estate broker, Mal Bowden. "Oh, hey, Mal," I called out. He was such a nice guy, gay as all hell. I watched as his tall, stout frame wobble over to me in his silk suit, looking lustrous. He was the ultimate realtor and was seriously successful. "You're working on a Sunday?" I snickered as he kissed me on my flushed coral cheeks. "Oh, always, darling," he bellowed with his big belly laughter. "No rest for someone like me." "Hey, I was just wondering if April and Marcos got my invitation for the dinner party at my place?" he asked quickly. "And you can come too if you like." Mal was the owner of an enviable 4-acre property sprawled across the cliffs of Hope Branch. "Oh, you're more than kind, Mal," I answered, touching his shoulder fondly. "But you know, since I'm the help, it's probably not appropriate." "Oh, Bonnie, darling, the politics of it all," he chuckled, throwing his arms up in the air. "Another time, then." "Another time. I'll pass the message on to Marcos and April," I promised, pecking him with a goodbye kiss and waved him off, watching him walk across the car park to his sleek silver Bentley. Everyone, and I mean everyone, at least with money, title, and clout, invited April and Marcos to everything. I had invitations coming to me left, right, and center. And it wasn't just in Santa Barbara or Montecito. It was worldwide. For the most part, Marcos really had no interest in these invites, but April did. She would go to an event every night if she could, but she seldom went anywhere without Marcos. The oxymoron of it all. I piled the groceries on the back seat of my car and finally drove home with the afternoon sun melting through my eyes, cruising along the 101 south. As I crawled up the mountain and passed through those Almeida gates right on sunset, I noticed that black helicopter back on its pad. My insides fluttered excitedly. He's home. I entered my quarters and put some comfy clothes on, getting straight back to work. I prepped the most delicious food imaginable for Marcos, yet I had no idea for when or what time. Just one of the many mysterious ways of Marcos Almeida. I glanced down at that black screen of my gold iPhone. Have faith, Bonnie. Chapter 29. Night had long fallen, and I sat next to that iPhone in my living room like it was my left kidney, waiting and waiting and waiting to hear from Marcos. In an attempt to distract myself, I checked my emails, called my mother, and even tried to read, but it was useless. Nothing worked. The waiting was agonizing. Oh, come on, Marcos. I decided I needed a bath. My body was greasy as hell and layered in a fine salt residue from tanning on the beach all afternoon. As I relaxed amongst the soap and bubbles, the iPhone suddenly vibrated on the towel beside me. Oh, thank God. Fumbling, I dried my hands and pressed the button. Text message. Dinner for midnight is okay for you? Midnight? I could do midnight. I could do any time for you, Marcos. I plugged back a message. Sure. A minute later, another text. Don't cook until I come to you. My bewildered eyes grew wide as I bit my lower lip, typing frantically. You're coming to me? The phone buzzed again. Sure. I threw my head back into the water and chuckled. Marcos, oh Marcos, just how? I had my work cut out for me. I knew I had to dust off the cobwebs and get the sexy clothes out tonight. I decided on my gold sequin caftan by Camilla. No panties and no bra. Perfect. I unclipped the floor-length windows in my bedroom and slid them against the wall, the crisp night air quickly engulfing my quarters. My energy was zapped. I suddenly felt tired and needed a little power nap before Marcus came, so I set my alarm for 11:30 p.m. I had plenty of time. A couple of hours later, I woke up in the dark, pressing the snooze button on my phone. I lay there silently, being swept up in those staggering ocean views reflecting against the dark mountains. I listened to the chorus of night critters hard at work in the garden beds. The night was perfect. I needed to get up and get ready for Marcos. Suddenly, there was fumbling at my door. I rolled over and noticed a blackened silhouette opening the door. My heart thumped wildly in my chest. Carefully, the silhouette removed the braided ropes from the damask curtains, allowing them to fall over the windows. I was paralyzed with anxiety, and finally, through the glint of the waxing moon, Marcos appeared. I felt my insides churn into butter. Without saying a word, he slid out of his black slippers and crept toward me as I lay on the bed, watching his every move. Oh my God. My heart pounded painfully in my throat. He came into my line of sight, that chiseled jaw outlined through the shade of night, watching me, taunting me with those dark eyes that destroyed me. My body ached for his manliness. He knew exactly what I needed, what I pined for. After all, he was the master of body language. Time escaped us as he stood there, allowing me to savor his loveliness. No movement, no facial expression except for that deep, penetrative gaze that rocked my world over and over again. And then suddenly, lifting his arms, he pulled his black tee over his head and threw it on the floor, revealing an incredibly sculpted body. The rib cage, the separation of his biceps from his shoulders, the obliques along his pelvis. He could trump any man on the cover of those men's health magazines. I felt my mouth part open, admiring him in awe, watching him, watching me. He then reached for the drawstring of his black sweats and untied it, also pushing them to the floor. I gasped on my exiting breath as my enraptured green eyes fell onto a mightily thick, partly erect rod of large, warm flesh. Like a lion of the pride, he let me absorb his grandness. He wanted me to feel it, really feel it. I bit my lip, feeling my inner thighs quiver. I knew what was coming next, and I wanted it badly.